Arin sat on the edge of the rickety wooden pier, watching as the midday sun cast shimmering reflections across the lake. His feet dangled above the water, moving absent-mindedly in time with his thoughts. Around him, the hamlet of Eldaglan hummed with the sounds of everyday life, the clang of the blacksmith's hammer, the cheerful calls of vendors hawking their wares, and the distant laughter of children at play. Yet, none of this activity held Arin's interest. His mind was far away, lost in tales of old heroes who wielded great magic to vanquish darkness and conquer evil. A world that, despite being ruled by the Arcanauts, seemed forever out of his reach. Arin called a familiar voice, breaking his trance. It was Elara, his childhood friend, more often than not the voice of reason in his life. She approached with her usual determined stride, her long auburn hair catching the light like strands of woven fire. "Dreaming again?" she teased lightly, settling down beside him. Her presence was a comfort, though it never dispelled the nagging sense of inadequacy that plagued him. Arin sighed, his gaze lingering on the horizon. I can't help it, Elara. It seems so unfair. Not having magic doesn't make you less than anyone else, she insisted, but her words, sincere though they were, could not bridge the chasm between what the world believed and what Arin felt in his heart. The realm of Eldaglan, and far beyond, decided one's value by magical prowess. Positions of power, respect, even love were steeped in it. Arin, born without an ounce of magical ability, fell outside the spectrum of what society deemed worthy. Yet, he clung stubbornly to fantasies of heroism gleaned from the tales his father told him as a boy. "What can someone like me do in a world like this?" he murmured, almost to himself. Elara glanced at him sidelong, her eyes filled with sympathy. "Stories don't just happen in books, Arin. They're lived by those brave enough to chase them. Maybe you just haven't found your story yet." He smiled at her encouragement, though it was tinged with melancholy. Still, he could not shake the feeling that the key to his worthiness lay somewhere out there, beyond the familiar shores of the lake and the oppressive expectations of a world he could never quite belong to. Perhaps, he thought, it was time to look beyond even the scope of his dreams. The morning was brisk, the air carrying the scent of pine and promise as Arin trudged up the hill leading to the old sage's cottage. This journey, whispered of by village folk, was always considered a rite of passage for those seeking answers, whether magical or mundane. Arin's feet crunched across the frost-tipped grass, his breath puffing in white clouds ahead of him. His heart thrummed like a quicksilver drum in his chest, anticipation and trepidation mingling in equal measure. The cottage stood alone in a clearing, an ancient structure of stone and vine. Its door creaked open, as if anticipating visitors, and thereupon stood old Maester Grell, the caretaker of secrets and mysteries. "Arin, my boy," Grell rasped, his voice like leaves rustling in an autumn breeze. "I wondered when you might seek me out." Arin hesitated in the doorway, unsure of how to voice the inchoate desires in his heart. I've come to understand if there's more to me," he finally admitted. The Maester chuckled, beckoning Arin inside. "More is the realm of possibility, young one. Sit. Take what the world offers, and then see what you can make of it." They settled by the hearth, warmth seeping into their bones. Grell, with his sharp eyes and curious smile, watched as Arin fidgeted with his cloak, the young man's uncertainty palpable in the flickering firelight. "They say you have no magic," Grell mused, meandering among dusty tomes and peculiar artifacts. Arin nodded, the words etching a familiar fissure within him. I want to be more." With a knowing nod, Grell reached into the shadows and retrieved a faded parchment, its edges worn and delicate. "Here," he said, offering it to Arin with gravity. "A map, leading to the Whispering Forest." Arin's fingers brushed the paper, a frisson of something unnameable passing through him. "What will I find there?" Grell chuckled again, the sound both amused and inscrutable. "Challenges. Lessons. But more than anything, Arin, you might just find yourself." The map detailed a path winding through thickets and glens, leading deep into the forest where whispers of the unknown stirred beneath the leaves. Will it awaken something in me?" Arin asked, voice barely above a whisper. Perhaps, Grell admitted. Perhaps not. But, often, the journey is what awakens the soul. With the map clutched tightly, Arin felt a spark of hope rekindle within him. For the first time, he saw a light on the path that led away from insignificance. The whispering forest awaited, a silent promise of change. The air within the whispering forest was thick with enchantment, the towering trees densely veiled in mist. Arin stepped gingerly along the narrow trail, the earthy scent of damp moss filling his lungs. Sunlight dappled through the high canopy, painting golden patterns on the forest floor. Every step Arin took felt like a leap of faith into the unknown. He could hear the low murmur of the forest, a symphony of rustling leaves and distant bird calls, but there was an uncanny intelligence to the sound, as if the forest itself watched and whispered secrets just beyond comprehension. As the path twisted deeper, a sudden rustle caught his attention, a shimmering shape darted between the trees. Holding his breath, Arin edged closer, sharpening his senses as best as he could without magic. "Who's there?" he called, though his voice barely carried. The only reply was a soft laugh, tinkling like chimes in the breeze. Faced with the unknown, fear pricked at his heart, yet determination pushed him onward. During his journey, Arin encountered a puzzle woven into the natural architecture, a series of stones, each inscribed with symbols, arranged in a circle. Kneeling beside the altar-like formation, certainty bloomed within him. His intellect was now his greatest ally. Methodically, he traced the symbols with his fingers, each revealing hints of a forgotten language. "It's a sequence," he murmured to himself, piecing together the logic encoded in stone. A part of his mind, shaped by stories of cunning heroes, urged him to persist. Moments stretched as he experimented, shifting stones in resonance with the melody of his intuition. Finally, as if in reward for his efforts, the ground glowed gently, and the stones clicked into place, the whispers of the forest subsiding in a moment of profound silence. Arin's breath hitched, heart swelling with a newfound sense of capability. Though magic eluded him, something deeper was awakening, a sagacity that lent strength to his limbs and courage to his spirit. He rose, emboldened by his triumph. A different path emerged before him, winding further into the heart of the whispering forest, leading him to his next trial. As Arin ventured onward, he realized that fear could be tempered by resolve, and that the shadows held nothing so fearsome as his own doubts. Expectation filled him as did an unfamiliar elation. Each trial ahead was no longer a daunting specter but a cornerstone to discovering who he truly was. Arin continued, each step more assured than the last, embracing his journey and the revelation of strengths not dictated by magic, but crafted from courage born in the heart. The moon hung high in the cobalt sky, casting silvery light over the castle that loomed atop the hill. Its turrets reached skyward, defying the darkness that sought to encircle them. In one of the high towers, where each room echoed with arcane mysteries, Zephyra stood by a large, arched window, her silhouette framed by the ethereal glow. Her gaze was distant, and her thoughts lingered on Arin, a name newly whispered by the winds of fate that reached her tower. Zephyra, known as a formidable sorceress with ambition gilded by shadows, felt the prick of annoyance tighten her chest. To imagine a boy, devoid of magic, treading a path that could stir the spirits of the land was an affront to her carefully cultivated doctrine. Her intentions were clear, to establish a society where power resided solely with the magical elite, securing her place at its zenith. "My lady," a voice intruded upon her contemplation. It was Lorik, her trusted advisor, who carried out her bidding with ruthless efficiency. He approached with a parchment in hand, his expression ever stoic. "What is it, Lorik?" Zephyra turned from the window reluctantly, her displeasure barely masked. "News of the boy called Arin," he replied, offering the parchment. As she read, Zephyra's eyes flickered with a mix of intrigue and derision. "This mere mortal seeks to challenge the fabric of our world. It's laughable, truly." And yet, Lorik nodded in agreement. "Indeed, my lady, yet even the smallest termite can compromise the mightiest of oaks. Then he must be crushed before he can fuel this heretical hope within others," Zephyra commanded, her voice a soft, dangerous whisper. The castle's atmosphere seemed to echo her resolve. a hushed testament to the lengths she would go to maintain her vision of order. She envisioned the realm, stirred by swiftly spreading tales of a non-magical hero, and shivered with disdain. "See to it," she instructed, gesturing dismissively, "and ensure his journey meets an end before it can truly begin." As Lorik departed to execute her orders, Zephyra returned her attention to the moonlit landscape stretched before her. Her faith, hardened like cold steel, lingered on the reassuring thought that no unmagical being could ever challenge the hierarchy she had fought so fervently to uphold. Yet, in a moment of unsettling foresight, a question crept unbidden into her mind: what if the whisper of a world changed wasn't so easily hushed? The path twisted through ancient trees that seemed to watch him with silent curiosity. Time felt different here, and with each passing day, Arin felt the weight of the trials behind him and the unknown challenges ahead. It was in a glade, bathed in soft twilight, where he began to sense something unusual, a pull deep within his core. He slowed his pace, attuned to the resonance that seemed to vibrate below the surface of things. Every fiber of his being urged him off the beaten path. Guided by intuition, he stumbled through thickets to where the forest parted in reverence. There, half buried beneath the twist of an old oak, lay what appeared to be a forgotten artifact. A circlet, glinting with an inner light, much like the sunset caught in twilight dew. Arin approached with a reverence reserved for somber discoveries. With cautious fingers, he unearthed the artifact, its touch warm against his skin. The moment he grasped it fully, a gentle hum filled the air, a recognition, like a melody recalling long-lost words. Arin's heart thrummed in response, his breath poised between awe and disbelief. It wasn't just an object. No, it was something much more, an echo of power that defied the bounds of magic as he understood it. This, he whispered to himself, is more than it seems, just like me. The realization was illumination itself, unfurling within him a deep-seated truth. What he held wasn't just an ancient relic but a symbol, a testament to the potential that lay dormant in every soul, regardless of magical ability. With his resolve bolstered by this newfound understanding, Arin pondered the possibilities. Perhaps my worth has never been dependent on what the world calls power, he mused aloud, his voice gaining confidence with each word. Cradling the circlet, Arin returned to the path, the artifact now a part of him. It didn't bestow magic in the way he'd once yearned, yet it offered something greater, a sense of belonging and purpose, a bond with the stories he'd always revered. The road ahead seemed lighter, his quest no longer solely about self-discovery but the kindling of hope for those who, like him, had ever felt lesser in a world ruled by the arcane. Arin walked on, the glade leaving behind its whispers as the forest closed around him, each step an affirmation of his resolve. The day had come at last, the horizon tinged with a tense glow as dusk approached. Arin stood on the precipice of destiny, the clearing overlooking a valley that stretched out like shadowy waves below. In the silence of that place, he awaited his foe, the artifact secure in his grasp, its gentle warmth a reminder of his journey and purpose. From the woods, a figure emerged cloaked in darkness and power. Zephyra's presence was imposing, her gaze sharp enough to cleave through stone. Her aura crackled with unrestrained magic as she advanced, each step exuding certainty. So, the lowly boy seeks to defy the natural order, she remarked, her voice honeyed with disdain. Arin felt neither small nor insignificant in her shadow, instead, a calm certainty bloomed within him. I seek only to change what deserves changing, he replied, his voice tempered steel. Zephyra laughed, the sound hollow and echoing across the expanse. You're a fool if you think courage alone can stand against magic. I will crush this uprising before it casts even the slightest shadow. A storm gathered as she summoned her might, forces of nature bowing to her will. Yet, Arin held his ground, remembering the wisdom gained from each trial. The artifact glowed brighter, resonating with the courage that flooded his veins. As if sensing the stakes, the valley seemed to breathe alongside Arin, offering its silent support. With a focused mind, he met Zephyra's advancing spell not with arcane energy but with the intangible power built on valor and belief. You underestimate the strength of those united by more than just power, Arin declared, and, as he did, the circlet pulsed, creating a shield that deflected the sorceress's barrage. The magic collided, bursting around him like a celestial firework. Ripples of its energy washed over the landscape, a testament to the exchange of ideology more than might. Zephyra hesitated, the first fracture of uncertainty crossing her face. Arin seized the moment, the courage of his ancestors and tales propelling him forward. In a movement befitting the hero of his own story, he pressed on, unyielding. This is for everyone who's ever been told they were powerless, Arin asserted, his heart an unwavering beacon. In that crucial moment, he realized the artifact's true gift, an amplifier of innate potential that thrived on the unity and aspirations of all who had ever questioned their place in the world. Faced with unanticipated resilience, Zephyra faltered, her power scattering on the winds. With her retreat, hope unfurled across the valley, an undeniable force that promised change. The sun rose gently over the land of Eldeglen, its golden rays spilling across fields and towns, touching the remnants of a world anew with warmth and possibility. Arin, now the unseen champion in the eyes of the people, walked among them, feeling the shift in the air, a tapestry being rewoven with threads of hope. The whispering forest still held its secrets, nestled within its depths, but its trials had transformed Arin. No longer haunted by the absence of magic, he bore the mantle of the ordinary turned extraordinary through courage. As he moved through the bustling village square, the townsfolk greeted him not with awe for his deeds but gratitude for the change he represented. Eldeglen was a realm learning to value the heart over arcane skill, each person encouraged to find strength in unity rather than division. Elara appeared beside him, her presence as steadying and radiant as ever. "I knew you had it in you," she said with a smile, her eyes reflecting the thousand stories they had shared and lived. "I believed in the stories," Arin replied, taking in the scenery where magic had once been the only measure of worth. Conversations now were less about status and more about community. As Arin watched a group of children gather round, eagerly listening to tales not unlike those that once kindled his dreams, he felt a seed of fulfillment bloom. "Not every hero needs magic," Elara remarked, nudging him playfully. "Sometimes all it takes is seeing beyond the everyday. And daring to live it," Arin added, his heart light with the fruition of a path he once thought impossible. Together, they lingered in the moment, the promise of future chapters unwritten yet shimmering with potential. In a formal gathering days later, Arin stood before the Council of Eldeglen. The elders, once mired in traditions of magic above all, now nodded in deference to the change he had catalyzed. "Our realm thrives through the courage and unity of its people," Arin addressed them. "Let us continue to build a world where the unseen virtues are celebrated and nurtured." His words reverberated across the hall, settling into hearts that, like his own, had known the sting of inadequacy and now brimmed with collective hope. The path was not without challenges yet to come, but now Arin knew that every voice held power, woven together in the grand tapestry of their story. As he stepped down from the podium, a cheer rose from the crowd, a jubilant echo of a society reborn. In that hall filled with light and voices joining as one, Arin's journey had reached its culmination, not the end of the story, but